Welcome back, everybody, to the Baco Motorsports Power Hour. I'm Louis Samastoy, your host, and we have the panel in here now. We've got Jason Galvin from Channel 17. We've got Steve Hughes, and we got Brian Olsen from the SRL Southwest Tour. And we're going to talk Winter Showdown. And over there, by the way, I forgot, this is a weekly segment that we're going to have to introduce every time now. Griff's Gripe of the Week. Griff's Gripe of the Week. Griff, what is your Gripe of the Week?
My Gripe of the week? Well, Fox Sports 1 coverage of the Winter Nationals. It was. I thought it was pretty good overall, but immediately I'm watching it because I recorded it. That way I could catch up and, not watch commercials. But anyway, two things are pretty important in drag racing. Let's get this. Reaction time and ETs. Very important. The races are only 4 seconds long, guys. When those cars leave the starting line, I want to see the reaction time of both drivers on the screen, like lowly ESPN did it, and I want the ETs and the mile per hours of both cars. Pretty simple. Just do it.
Okay.
There you go.
Can I throw something in here that I don't even know if Griff picked up on? Did you just watch Sunday only, or did you watch?
I did not watch any of the qualifying.
Okay, so qualifying. This is where Fox Sports 1 and specifically NHRA, because NHRA is producing it. It's not Fox that anybody should be mad at. It's an NHRA production.
But NHRA produced ESPN, and they had the reaction. They had the numbers up there. And this race, they did not consistently.
So here's something all the teams I can tell you were up in arms about come Sunday morning. Both Friday and Saturday qualifying coverage, they skipped runs of cars. ESPN always showed every car down the track, right? So Doug Coletta runs a 371 on Saturday night. Not on TV.
Wow.
You can't do that.
And it's like, and he was far from the only one. They missed a Courtney Force run Friday night. I'm like, it's Courtney Force, guys. Let's, you shouldn't be skipping anybody, but you should really not be skipping maybe the most visible person in your sport.
And what they did, they blitzed through the first round competition on Sunday very quickly, and that's when I first noticed. I said, well, where's the reaction times? I want to know who got off the line first. I've got 4 seconds to digest this race. I want to know who's playing catch-up.
Right.
Because you can't tell from the camera from the end of the race.
But to me, it's unexcusable to skip qualifying runs specifically. I mean, because some of these guys, to run a fuel car costs millions of dollars, and they don't get sponsorship like the NASCAR guys. So if somebody got somebody to give them $100,000 on the premise that, well, I don't know how I'm going to do on Sunday because I only got a 15th place car and I need somebody to mess up. But you'll at least see it 4 times on Friday and Saturday, and then you don't see it at all.
Right.
See, and I didn't know that. So there are problems. They've got to get it. I just think since NHRA does produce it should have been a little more polished, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, racing sure was good though.
Can you
the
not,
racing was good.
Can you not upset NHRA again?
Right. I mean, it's really the first race of the year, man. Cut them some slack.
We haven't even got to the hot rod
reunion
yet.
Not on ET. I mean, it's pretty simple these days to do it. Do it right.
Griffith enraged the NHRA last year, and it was by far our most read story of motorsports of the season when you accused them of banning the dog from.
I actually read that story again this morning. It was so good.
The dog was banned.
I know.
And that's a liability issue. So. Right.
Well, I'll tell you this: in the fuel categories at the Winter Nationals, both Top Fuel and Funny Car were decided by less than 6 inches on the racetrack.
Yeah, those
which
were
is unbelievable.
Great
don't remind me about that.
When they got to the finals, so
the Coletta cars lost both races.
Yeah, they did.
It's a sore night in my household.
I think
that's right. You got history there,
competition-wise,
right.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just the presentation, and the drag racing fans like numbers. They're like baseball. I mean, that's what it's all about. And so just give those numbers every run. It's pretty simple. Put it up on the screen. Leave it on there long enough to digest the number. Don't throw it up there for 1 second. It's hard for old minds to think that quick.
Speaking of numbers, and that was Griff's, by the way, Griff's Gripe of the Week, which will be a regular feature here on the Power Hour.
Shorten that up. That's my only suggestion.
Gripe of the Week.
That's my gripe of the week.
Leave it to about 30 seconds.
That was my fault. I won't gripe too.
That's good. It's good. The numbers, though, of the Winter Showdown for the second time we've done this now in the month of February, coming up in a couple weeks here, are truly impressive. Great car count and a huge prize. So we're talking big dollars here, right, Steve?
Absolutely. I'll let Brian speak to that.
So Brian, you got to put how many cars are entered on this list because it's so long.
It's up on the top left.
Oh, there it is. I got you.
I think as of this morning, we have 48 cars already entered.
48 cars.
48 cars interest, and not only the number of cars, and I keep going back to the accolades of these drivers, championships, track championships, national championships, I mean, Garrett Evans from from Washington, over 350 featured wins in his career, 60 years old, 11 championships between the Northwest Tour and track champions. So, I mean, then you got
legendary.
Legendary. I mean, legend. I mean,
Legendary.
that's how you. I mean, that's a great word to sum him up. I mean, then you got the young guys that we talked about. Todd Gilliland, Rusty Wallace's son, Stephen Wallace has entered in the race. We got Derek Thorne, our local hero, so to speak. With winningest driver at all time, Spear Southwest Tour Series. And we got a lot of young guns that are going to be there. Former track champion Brian Richardson, Bakersfield boy. Buddy Shepard making his super late model debut. So David Mayhew, Johnny White. The list continues to go on and on and on. And to sell any of those guys short, we don't have enough time on the show to go through each and every one of their accomplishments. But yeah, exactly. The money last year was $25,000 to win. We upped the ante to $30,000 this year, $180,000 in total prize money. So it definitely, the carrots there, the prize is there. The weather's looking great. I know that was kind of the only
Because El Nino apparently doesn't exist anymore.
Don't say that. Don't anger El Nino.
We can talk about this on Monday.
There's
the
a
29th.
blob. You know that there's a blob that is defeating El Nino. So keeping
That's
it
great.
away. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of blob.
There you go. It should be great weather though.
El Nino
Mid-70s
should come
all
in
weekend.
Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Right.
And the blob should take over on the weekends.
I agree.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Just pour Monday through Thursday,
Yeah.
and we'd be good.
We'll pour this afternoon. It'll
right.
make things nice, and
Right.
then it'll be beautiful out there.
Yeah.
The feedback from last year's event was really positive. It was incredibly positive. Brian, what did you hear, and what made you guys really want to kind of raise this up this year?
Well, I mean, obviously we're having a second annual, so I would say if you're having a second annual, you must have done something right the first time around. So we got the first one underneath our belt, and one of our biggest goals in 2016 was to attract some more of those drivers from the East Coast. And if you look down the roster that Steve's got and Jason has, I mean, a third of our field is approaching east of the Rockies, which is something that a lot of people didn't think we could ever accomplish, let alone in year two. So that's one of our biggest goals: to bring those drivers the east, kind of west. Bring the Northwest drivers, young versus old. I mean, we've got all these different sidelines as part of this event. So, and the fact that we're Bakersfield, Larry Collins and Marion Collins, myself, working with Steve at the racetrack, we're all local boys, and we want this event to be successful for our community. It's a great opportunity to generate a lot of tourism dollars for the Bakersfield market. And a lot of these teams are coming in starting Sunday night. I mean, they're a week early. They're going to be coming in. They're going to be testing Monday and Tuesday out at Kern County Raceway. And so it's great. We're excited about it. Next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, will actually be our kickoff party that we're going to have at Temblor Brewing, something we're really excited about. An opportunity to have all the haulers down there, race cars on display, drivers there. Opportunity for the race fans to come out and meet some of these drivers and up close and see those 18-wheelers, and then we're going to parade them out to the racetrack Thursday night. Steve,
you get excited just looking at those haulers starting to line up inside the infield, right? I mean, that's the pleasure, and then obviously calling the race too is a great.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Jeremy Anders from the Northwest is going to be joining me doing the pit reporting on the live side of it. But from the racetrack's point of view, we're just excited and proud and honored that KCRP was chosen for this event in basically the span of 18 months. When this thing became an idea in Marion and Larry and Brian's head, and they approached us, in July or June of last year, so the summer of 15 or of 14, and then the first one happened in February of 15. From that point on till now, what a great job this group has done to make this. Obviously, it's the premier race event on the West Coast, but challenging to be one of the best ones in the United States for short track racing. And that's something that KCRP couldn't be more proud of, to be a part of that.
I'll be honest, when I first heard the idea of this race, I was skeptical. I mean, and I think it would have been unusual not to be a little skeptical. I'd been around racing a long time. I was at Irwindale when they had the NASCAR Showdown, and that had NASCAR's backing, and it was difficult to draw car counts and fans and whatnot. But I think the best thing that Brian and Larry did was the second they got somebody with a name from the East Coast to say, I'm in, this became a legitimate race. It became something more than just an all-star event for the tour, so to speak. To me, that moment, the second I saw Bubba Pollard say, I'm coming, it doesn't matter how Bubba Pollard came, why he came. Bubba's not a money racer. Bubba races because he likes to win and to run big races. So if Bubba Pollard thought this race was big enough to come out here for, that to me was the selling point. And then people, it's funny, the second Bubba was in last year, it was like a laundry list. People just started adding and adding and adding. And the second the race was confirmed for this year, I think you saw that same thing. It was like, well, now we really better show up because
Right.
if Bubba and Dalton are out there and Derek Thorne's running third, and then it's it's go time.
Well, and even Bubba said, "Hey, I'm telling all my friends." When he climbed out of the race car last year and raised that $25,000 check, he says, "I'm going back home and I'm telling all my friends this is where they need to be next year." And that right there obviously puts the stamp on it. But then Brian and Larry and Marion go to work. And it's not like Larry hasn't traveled to Florida in December to promote this race,
Right.
at the Snowball Derby. He's out there, shaking hands, kissing babies, and handing, information out. He did it last year, and last year it was like, hey, who is that guy there? Who is that guy? Well, this year when he went out, there were people coming up to him saying, give me some information. We're ready to come out. And the caliber of drivers that we're seeing this year, if I'm being totally honest with you, there were 6, maybe 7 drivers that had an opportunity to win last year's race. We're going to triple that this year with this field.
Yeah, 6 or 7 might be generous.
Yeah.
I think everybody went into last year's race, and it was like Bubba, Dalton, Derek, if David figures something out, but his car wasn't on the caliber that theirs were, and that might have been it. And if you look at it this year, David's built a brand new race car for it. Derek's car is going to be great. Bubba will be great. Todd Gilliland, Chris Eggleston. You just start rolling down the
driver
list.
out of Oklahoma.
Donnie Wilson.
Donnie Wilson. They're going to come last year and said, I'm not missing this one.
Right.
And basically because Bubba came.
Absolutely.
And also, in addition to 30,000, you got 5 drivers who can win an extra 10,000.
Yeah, we have a $10,000 bonus that basically Coors Light put up along with Speed 51 to track some more of those drivers out west. So we've got a part of those 5 drivers. We have Cole Anderson, which is one of the hot shoes coming up, young man from Minnesota. We got Dalton Sargent, which qualified for that. Preston Peltier, who actually formerly from Fraser Park, now lives in North Carolina, will be racing Donnie Wilson, and then obviously defending champion Bubba Pollard.
It's going to be an incredible weekend here on, 2 weeks away on February 28th, right?
27th and 28th. Yes, sir.
2 days, and actually 3 days, 26th through the 28th, and a great opportunity for you to get out there. It's the actual season debut of KCRP is when, though, Steve? It's in April or
April 2nd.
April 2nd, right?
Just about a month later, the same type of format that we ran last year. We had the Winter Showdown. About a month later, we kicked things off with the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Napa Auto Parts 150. We'll have Super Stocks, Legends, our 911 Racing Series. It's the week after Easter, so everybody should be well rested from their spring break, and we get to kick off our racing season on April 2nd. But back to the Winter Showdown. It actually kicks off on the 25th of February.
Right.
We want to invite everybody out to Tembler Brewery right off of Buck Owens Boulevard there. As Brian said, there's going to be a lot of action happening there, a bunch of giveaways as well, a lot of fun there. Then Friday night, KCRP, the dirt track at KCRP is going to host a dirt event. We'll have modifieds, B-mods, hobby stocks, American stocks, and mod lights that night. And then it's on from there, Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and 28th.
And then real quick, Mike Griffith was out there on Saturday.
Yeah,
and
Chris can play that video.
Chris played that video of Brad Pounds and his
background
A-mods, and Mike was very pleased with what happened out there. And
Yeah,
Steve?
I thought this was a really good race and a good car count.
It's a great car count.
They're getting through that turn 1 and 2 much better than late last year, Steve.
Yeah, they've worked on that. A tremendous amount of clay has been brought in. We've actually worked on the actual the corner itself, the engineering of the corner. But when you see Brad Pound starting in 5th spot, you don't hear about too many guys coming from 5th in 25 laps, and the way that he did it was.
And Chris Bennett was
Brett Bennett.
Brett
the Bandit
Bennett was so fast early on. You didn't think anybody was going to catch him, but he slowed up a little, and Brad's car came on, and he got him. So it was just a good race, and it was a good afternoon. Great weather out there at KCRP.
I love what you guys did with this track, Steve, and that when you guys got together and you said that we're going to build a dirt track, and you and Lee and everybody started working on this. And you came from Bakersfield Speedway, so you knew how dirt track racing worked. But instead of just building everybody's got dirt tracks across the West Coast, you built something that's kind of unique. You run them on a different day, and it's instead of being like a competition thing, to me, it's kind of built this aura that Bakersfield could be California's home to dirt track racing. You get these 2 tracks, and you get all these guys out here, and then most of the guys that run both at your place and Bakersfield Speedway, when they leave here and go to other tracks, they win those races.
Absolutely,
yes, they do.
Yeah. And we saw that in Hanford and other places too all season long. So very
It's
good.
definitely a unique track. I can tell you that it's got its own
If you sit high enough up, and the view is so good that, as Steve noted, you'd see a Bentley going down the freeway.
Not just a Bentley, but a chrome Bentley traveling down I-5 headed north. I'm assuming to the Bay Area. Yeah.
All right. Very good, Steve Hughes. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. And Brian Olsen, great job.
Thanks.
Great job on this, and looking forward to the race. I will hopefully get out there and see it because it's going to be an outstanding night, and the weather should be fantastic.
Absolutely.
The weather the last few days, it's going to be huge crowds and a great opportunity. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with an update from Bakersfield Speedway right after these messages.